You ever get that feeling you're about to watch someone crash and burn in real time? That's how it started for me, sitting there in first class, minding my own business, when I heard her say it loud enough for everybody nearby to catch. Oh, I didn't realize first class was open to just anyone these days. Yeah, that happened. You'd think I'd snuck on board with a fake ticket not paid top dollar after 3 brutal days in Chicago. And the wild part, folks actually started glancing at me like maybe she had a point, like her little HOA badge somehow made her the boss of the airline, too. Let me back up a sec. I was tired, man. My head was buzzing from meetings, and all I wanted was those few precious inches of legroom you only get up front. I'd snagged seat 2A, settled in with my phone, half dreaming about being home in Atlanta by dinner time. For once, I wanted to disappear into a book, maybe doze off over Kentucky, just nothing. But life had other plans. Her voice hit me before I even saw her, sharp cutting the kind of tone that makes a room tense up. I looked up and yep, there she was, Candace Mitchell, HOA president, self-declared queen of Oakwood Heights power walker with a designer handbag, lips pressed so tight you'd think she was bracing for a hurricane. Of all the flights, all the airlines, she had to be on mine. I felt that familiar sinking feeling. I'd survived living down the street from her, but being trapped on a plane, that was new. She locked eyes with me, and I could see the storm clouds gathering like she was already deciding how to make this 2-hour flight a living hell. She glanced at my jeans and polo, my relaxed posture in that forbidden first-class seat, and started that slow, purposeful march I'd seen at too many HOA meetings. The kind of stride that said, "I'm here to make your day worse." I tried the old ignore and they'll go away move. No luck. The same woman who once measured my mailbox with a tape measure and sent a violation letter for being 2 inches off. She wasn't about to let this go. I could feel her getting closer, that predatory energy pearl shining like a shark's teeth. If intimidation was a scent, she wore it stronger than her perfume. "Excuse me," she said, fake sweet as ever, stopping right by my armrest. "I think there's been some kind of seating error here." She gestured at my seat, then me, like the problem was self-evident. I looked up, kept my face neutral even though my stomach was doing backflips. "No error, Mrs. Mitchell," I said quietly, holding up my boarding pass. 2A, just like it says right here. But she wasn't looking at my ticket. She was looking at me the way she looked at people who dared plant the wrong flowers. Like she'd already decided I didn't belong, and now she was just figuring out how to make it official. And man, the cabin energy changed. Passengers tuning in, a businessman across the aisle lowering his newspaper, everyone waiting for the drama to start. She leaned closer, dropped her voice to what she probably thought was a reasonable tone. Though, trust me, nothing about Candace was ever reasonable. "As your HOA president, I have a responsibility to address situations like this." She let it hang there like it was supposed to carry weight. First class should be reserved for people who actually deserve it, don't you think? There it was, the code. The kind of thing that sounds almost normal if you don't know her. But I'd lived with her standards long enough to know exactly what she meant. My jaw clenched. I forced myself to stay calm. "Mrs. Mitchell, your authority ends at the neighborhood gates. This is a commercial flight and I have every right to sit here." Did that stop her? You already know the answer. If anything, she perked up, fed off the little crowd that was gathering. She pulled out her phone and showed me her official badge, same one she'd waved around for years like it had magical powers. "I think you're forgetting who you're talking to. I have a responsibility to maintain community standards wherever I encounter our residents." She meant it too. Her face told the story. She truly believed her power followed me 30,000 feet up. A woman across the aisle was now openly watching. An older guy behind me had set down his magazine, clearly debating if he should get involved or just enjoy the circus. And Candace. She basked in it louder now, making sure everyone heard about proper behavior and appropriate conduct. Coded language getting thicker by the minute. I really tried to keep my cool. "Mrs. Mitchell, I'm asking you to go back to your seat." Calm, steady, but she was in her element. Public confrontation. Her smile got colder, sharper, like she was tasting victory already. "Oh, this is far from over," she said, loud enough for half the cabin. "I'll be speaking to the gate agent. Someone needs to address this obvious mistake." Then she stomped up the aisle heels, clicking like a judge's gavel. I sat back, heart pounding. The guy behind me leaned over and whispered, "Neighbor dispute." I just nodded, not about to drag a stranger into 2 years of mailbox citations and lawn complaints. But I could see Candace up front, voice raised, working her magic on new arrivals, building consensus, isolating her target. Classic Candace. She started pitching her case to anyone who'd listen, especially those who looked like easy marks. Then she changed tactics loudly, declaring to the whole cabin, "As president of Oakwood Heights, HOA, I can't stay silent when someone takes a seat they don't deserve." Heads turned. Phones went up. I felt every eye on me like I was on trial. The air got thick tense. I gripped the armrest. The urge to stand up and end the spectacle was strong, but I knew that would play right into her hands. A flight attendant passed Candace, waved her down. "There seems to be some confusion about seating arrangements," she announced. The attendant's patience was obvious and tested. "Ma'am, boarding's complete. Everyone is in the correct seat." But Candace pressed harder, suggesting maybe check with the gate agent. Maybe the system made a mistake. The attendant didn't budge. Then twist time. In walked Nick Anderson, the senior gate agent. I knew Nick, and more importantly, Nick knew me. He'd seen every kind of drama and had zero patience for games. Candace jumped on him right away, badge flashing. "The gentleman in 2A appears confused about his ticket. As a community leader, I felt it was my duty to bring this to your attention." Nick looked from her to me, piecing it together. "Sir, can I see your boarding pass and ID?" He checked them carefully, then looked up with a slight smile. "Everything's in order. Seat 2A, first class, just as indicated." He turned to Candace, voice polite but sharp. "Ma'am, disrupting boarding is a violation of FAA regulations. Is there anything else before I escalate this?" Her confidence cracked, but she pushed back one more time, waving her phone like a badge. "Sometimes you have to take action when you see obvious problems." Nick was done. "Your community position doesn't give you authority over airline seating. This passenger has a valid ticket. Please return to your seat." Candace's face turned red. "And then here's the kicker," Nick said loud and clear. "I know exactly who this passenger is, and I can assure you he belongs in first class more than most people on this aircraft." The whole cabin froze. Candace was confused, flustered. "What do you mean?" she stammered. Nick didn't miss a beat. "You've been harassing one of our most experienced and respected captains, Captain Peter Williams. He's flying this plane." The silence was thunderous. Even people who'd been siding with her looked away embarrassed. Candace's jaw dropped, and she literally stumbled backward. "Captain," she whispered, as if she'd just realized she'd tried to throw the pilot off his own plane. Nick let it sink in, then announced for everyone, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Williams, your pilot today. The person some of you saw being questioned about his right to be in first class is actually responsible for your safety and this entire flight. If poetic justice exists, this was it. Phones recording, passengers staring. Even the ones who'd nodded along before were now whispering." She tried to kick off the pilot. Candace stammered. "But he wasn't in uniform. I didn't know." Nick cut her off. "Ma'am, he's not required to be in uniform when traveling to his next assignment. But your behavior today, harassing flight crew, attempting to remove a captain based on assumptions, falls under federal jurisdiction. When we land, you'll be met by authorities." That was it. The woman who'd run my neighborhood with an iron fist, who'd made my life miserable over mailbox paint and holiday lights, was now facing a federal case, her entire world collapsing in a matter of minutes. As I walked toward the cockpit, every eye followed me. The businessman who'd supported her muttered an apology. The woman across the aisle gave me a supportive nod. We landed in Atlanta, and sure enough, law enforcement was waiting. Candace tried to apologize, her confidence finally gone, but you could tell it was too late. The consequences were real, her badge powerless, her reputation shattered. Word got around our neighborhood too. The next HOA meeting was packed. Candace tried to save face, but the damage was done. Her allies turned cold resignation followed, and a new, more inclusive leadership stepped in. I always wondered if people like her ever really change. A few months later, I got a letter. She'd entered a program, started volunteer work, real therapy, the works. Maybe it stuck, maybe not. But for the first time, she admitted her community standards had really just been code for her own bias. She showed up to apologize at a public event, and you could see it cost her everything. So yeah, sometimes karma's got a hell of a sense of humor. The person she tried to humiliate turned out to be the one responsible for her safety, and the one to witness her most public fall. Entitlement crumbled, the truth stood tall. Makes you think, doesn't it? What would you have done sitting in that cabin? Did Candace deserve every second, or is there a line between justice and public shaming? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about what real authority and respect look like. And hey, if you're still here, thanks for listening. Buckle up, friends. More stories are taking off.